Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tash Teaches. I'm Tash, and in today's video I want to show you some rather crazy things you can do with Izotope RX9 and Accusonus ReGroover Pro as a means to be able to sample whatever you want, whenever you want. Have you ever wanted to be able to make a remix of something where you just don't have the a cappella, or you want to have access to the keys in a song that you don't have the stems for, or more specifically you just want the snare of a fantastic classic rock track? Well, stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to show you some rather mind-blowing things that you can do using modern software to get that done. So without further ado, let's jump right in and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I've got open here RX9, and on my desktop I've placed 3 pieces of audio from my sample library that have some things in them that I would like to extract to be able to sample. The first is this kind of sexy soulful song. I'd like to be able to use that vocal, maybe some of the musical element. Let's be real, some of the drums too, probably. I've got this here, which is a sort of Serge Gainsbourg style track with a very, very, very loud French dry female vocal. But it does have this rather delightful melodic riff. I'd love to sample that, but I'd like to be able to remove the drums. And then finally, I've got this song that I only want the drums. Everything else is a little excessive. It's kind of porn star-y Italian disco song. Why don't we start with the drums? I'm going to drag that into RX9 as simple as, and we can have a little listen again in here, have a look at what it looks like, yada yada yada. I'm just going to go straight to music rebalance down here, and it may look like this. The first thing we're going to do is just solo the percussion, and the percussion obviously will be the drums in here. All I need to do now is press render, and this will then start running the algorithm to extract those drums from it. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I shall see you when this is done. Right, so RX9 has finished the extraction. Let's compare the two things. So I'm going to start with what we originally had. Let's play it from here. And after... Fucking hell, I think you'll agree that's pretty impressive. I mean, just phenomenal. So now that I've got my new drum channel, I'm going to file, export, and we'll call this drums on desktop. And we can close this now. We've extracted our drums. I'm very happy with that. Let's now take the one which we'd like to take the music from, because again, I'm not a massive fan of her talking so loud. And this beginning element there would be quite nice to not have drums under it. So we're going to click Music Rebalance again, and in this case I'm not going to solo and render. I'm going to click Separate. And that's going to split this piece of music into its 4 parts: the vocal, the bass, the drums, and everything else, which tends to just be the musical elements. So once again, I'm just going to pause this video now, and I will be back when this is finished. RX9 has finished the extraction process, so let's have a listen here at the vocal first and foremost. Right, I can straight away close that. I'm not interested in using that, but we do have some rather cool drum sounds, I think. Nice, I'm going to extract that. Let's have a listen in the middle. So it seems to get a bit wibbly wobbly there. Let's export that and call that drums 2, bass. I don't think I'm going to need the bass, but I am excited to see what this music sounds like. So bearing in mind again, this is what I wanted to sample. I'd like to get rid of those drums though, so... That's absolutely amazing. Love that bit on the left, that little guitar loop. So let's export that and we'll call this music. I'm going to close these other two. I don't think I need the bass. And finally, let's take our track that we're going to use the vocal from, so I think that's this one. Some of those strings sound like they could be nice as well. So let's just music rebalance and straight away separate. Once again, I'll be back when this is finished. Right, that is now finished, and I have moved outside where there is a little bit more bird song and a quite delightful fresh morning breeze. Let's have a little listen to what we've got from this separation. I know I keep saying it, but that really is so impressive. Let's check out the bass. This really is just a sampler's wonder toy. Let's go music 2. Don't need the bass, don't think I need the drums. I will do the vocal on this one though. So we'll do vocal 3, and that music 2 is actually supposed to be vocal. Now I'm going to close RX9. I never save any of these projects. It's just sort of an in and out kind of gig for me. So let's quit this, and I've got open both Ableton and Bitwig. But I always start this process in Ableton, and that's just because of the, in my opinion, superior warping capability. So I'm going to take all of these samples, including the vocal, and I'm just going to pop them in here. And in fact, I'm going to do it like this, just so I can have them on multiple channels. And first thing I'm going to do is try and find a nice little loop here in this first drum channel, the disco one. So that's the one, and I'm just going to set one there. Now I don't want to warp every single beat to be perfectly on, but I do like to overall get it in time. So I'll probably do every 2 bars if it starts to really sway. This song says it's about 119, so it seems to be pretty in there. So I'll just speed this bit of the video up as I go through and I put all of this in time. Right, all of these drums are now pretty much in time, so let's have a quick listen through. Now, one of the first things we can do just to tighten things up a bit, we can't go too low because of these cymbals, but we can put this onto the transient preservation mode here and just bring this down ever so slightly, and that might get rid of a little bit of that rattle. Quite cool. So I'm going to freeze that in place straight away, and then I'm going to flatten it. Now, one extra thing that we could do here is if I load up ReGroover, I've done a video on this in the past, but this is a fantastic use of it, is first taking the drums out of a song and then taking a small loop of those drums. So let's say take the first 8 bars. It might actually be too long to do 8. Let's see. Freeze track. Let's flatten that. So we've got our 8-bar loop here. If I drag this in, okay, it's a bit too long. So let's do 4 bars. Or maybe I can do 8, but it's just the clip has gone too long. Let's just consolidate that. Crop clip. Okay, fingers crossed. Nice. Okay, so you can do 8 bars. And now that we've put that in there, we've got the same pattern, but now I can remove the kick, which is just amazing. So I'm going to just click and hold on this to drag that out, and then this is our top loop. And you can see here that the actual hat pattern changes there a bit. So I'm just going to loop that, and we've now got a delightfully good top loop here. Let's listen to that. And I might like to actually loop it there. And in fact, I'm just going to take that loop And I'm going to copy and paste that across 3 times, and then on the final one I'm going to shift it so that we get that open hat. And then I'm going to consolidate that together, and we've got our top loop. So in fact I'm just going to drag this over here to our samples. So we've got our tops. Now it probably would be quite good to get that kick as well, so I'm just going to solo that and shift this out, see what that sounds like. Now not all of the kicks are perfectly in time, so I'm just going to quantize them at 50% twice. See what that sounds like. And we can hear there's a little bit of bleh, bleh coming off of that, so we could try and shorten this as well with, this mode. Quite cool, but I think actually it's probably a better idea to just do this manually. So I'm just going to fade that. Oh, I'm going to fade this kick. That's quite good. And then I'll just copy and paste that across. So now we're at least getting a slightly more regular sound. We could probably edit this sound a little bit, make it sound a touch better. Let's just freeze it again. We'll drag that kick here, flatten, make these red, and let's just call this drums actually. So we've got our kick and our top loop here. Quite happy with that. Now we'll save those drums for later in case there's any other pieces we want to use in there, and I'm just going to mute ReGroover for now. Let's have a look at this second drum channel, because there could be some cool things in here. Let's put it in time as well. So that's our 1. And just like before, I'm going to pause the video or just speed it up while I go through and put it all in time. In fact, I'm going to stop doing it now, because really I only like this first bit anyway. You can see here that we've got quite a nice bit of sizzly top end, and as we start moving here anyway, it starts to get a little less interesting. So I'm just going to take this section here, and I'm just going to highlight everything and hard quantize it a couple of times. Let's turn off that metronome. I'm going to do the same old transient preservation thing, just to get rid of some of that hiss. Sounds absolutely amazing. Let's compare it. Yeah, getting rid of that digital crackliness is a game changer. So let's just freeze and flatten that. Flatten track. So we've got our first half. I'm going to have to crop clip again. And let's drag that into ReGroover and see if we can't separate that into a few nice layers. Yes. Okay. And I'm just going to get rid of that channel now, and let's just see what ReGroover says. So there's our kick layer. So I might just drag that out and call that low toms, because I'll sort of move those around the beat, I think, to get a slightly more tommy sound. Let's now take all of the elements that aren't that kick. So that's a kind of hat sound, quite clearly. I'm going to take that out, and we'll call that hats. And then this snare layer isn't super necessary, but it might come in handy. So let's just call that snares. And we can put these into the drums. Assign track colors. Kick. We've got our main top, toms, hats and snares. So this is our drum pattern so far. I can see that this tom thing, I'm going to need to do some editing on that, but I might also just quantize these things a little bit as well. Just a slight bit, just help get everything nice and tight together. I'm also going to get rid of everything on these snares that isn't an actual snare position, because some of those things are interfering with the low end a touch. So we'll just do that. And then this end bit can probably be faded just a bit. See. Cool. Now this Tom's channel, maybe we can do some cool stuff with that as well. So I'm going to copy and paste these across. Let's pop it into a arranger view. And let's see what we can do with these toms, because I feel like if we just move the position of some of these, well, I say toms, some of these kicks, we can probably get some rather cool things happening. Let's take another one of those. And I don't think I'm going to need to copy and paste too much more. I'd probably like to keep this a fairly repetitive pattern. Let's see what that sounds like now. In fact, let's just do that. I'm going to filter this a lot. In fact, I don't even want that. Let's get rid of it. We don't need it. We've got these layers, and that will do perfectly. Cool, so we've got some drums. Now let's have a little look at this music layer, because I really, really loved that pattern. The dun. This is probably our one then. So that's going to be our 2. So if we loop that, pop it on complex mode. Now I like that layer, but I know there was a section later where there was also a really pretty electric guitar. So let's see when that starts. So that's probably our new one. Let's loop it from there. So there's our second. It's quite easy when there's a nice, easy, fascinating, easy downbeat. So there's that, and that means that we can actually just loop this with the end bit. Because I think this bit probably... That's quite cool. So let's drag this in here and see how that sounds in context with the drums. Idea to sidechain that, so I'm going to take one of my pre-made transient thingamajiggers, just going to drag that out, call it SC, make no output, sends only, and I'm just going to compress. Oh, another thing that I love to do is with these, say, tops, is I'll duplicate it, and in fact, instead of duplicating it, I'm just going to copy or remove the snares from the top layer, and I'm going to bring them down onto another layer, because it's always very nice to be able to then remove the snare when you've got these kind of disco-y breaks, to make sure that it doesn't sound too loopy. Also very important to make sure that you're giving each transient time to start and finish where it needs to. So I'll just do that. almost done. I suppose I could have just done it like that anyway. Okay, so now we've got our top loop and then the snare. So snare, and we could probably now pair this with this layer. Let's just make sure that there's no extra noise that doesn't need to be there. The wonders of modern technology and the fact that I managed to take these drums from a song that was made in the 70s and have them sound quite as good as something I just downloaded on Splice is bloody nuts. So let's copy and paste across that. So the two of those make up our snare, and then we've got this top here that maybe we could even replace this hat bit. And I turn that down a bit. Let's go down, say like 10. Just maybe this could be quite cool. I'm not totally sure. We'll need to listen in context with the kick. Okay, so together they work quite nicely. So if I just do that as hats, that also means that I can now remove a little bit of the low end from this top loop. Probably a good idea to remove a bit of the rumble from all of them. That one doesn't seem to have any. How's this kick looking? The kick could do with a little bit of work, and in fact I have an idea for a kick that might work quite nicely. We could layer this. Let's filter the original kick that we had, and then we'll use this one as a top, because this is a lovely toppy disco kick. Just roll off some of that low end in this new one. Let's bring it down a bit in volume. Yeah, just using a little bit of that sub from the old kick. I'm also going to take a utility and on that kick just put it in mono. That's going to do wonders for making it sound a bit tighter as well. So we've got our kick channel here, and we'll call that top and low kick. And let's listen to all the drums together. Could use the drum bus on that kick. I like the transient thing on here. Could add a bit of boom. Good to know what key this is, because then we can add that in. So I'm just going to take an operator and I'm going to play side by side with this just to work out what key we're in. So it seems that we're in either F major or maybe G sharp. So I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I feel like a C sharp in the kick could be quite a nice warm sound. So we'll go here until it looks like it says C sharp. We'll see what that sounds like with the kick. Oh, an A. Oh, the wonders that thing does. Obviously it's made it louder as well, but it really just creates such a fantastic round kick. Oh, I think the start point of this loop has gone a bit weird. Let's make sure that... Okay, let's have a look what we can do with this vocal, because I have a feeling there's going to be some really cool bits in here. Now, because the vocal's completely different tempo, the other two were relatively fast. Well, actually, saying that, the musical one wasn't, but this vocal's very slow. We could try and just not put this in time at all and just have a play in the realm of just piecing things about. So let's just see what this sounds like in context. Good to work out where of interest, let's see what happens if we pitch 1, 2, 3, 4, so that the music is higher than it was originally and the vocal is higher. I really like that little bit. Why don't we do some chops? So I'm going to go... This is one thing I love to do, is to just have things sort of on the snare. Move that to a different start point. Oh, we had another music layer. I'm going to take this as well, and before we start really digging into that vocal, let's see if we can't find some other little samples in. I'm going to set the start point, so 1, just try and do a... That's a cool little sample. I love things like this. And in fact, what I'm going to do, that's probably a smarter decision, because I want to do some sort of cool filter modulation to make these things move, like this for example. Sounds really cool when you have like those kind of movements, but I prefer to do that in Bitwig. I'm in fact just going to select in here some clips, so number 1, and then let's make another clip. This second half of it. Let's do number 3. Not so keen on that one.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you're interested in alternative music production techniques and handy mindset hacks for being able to get out your own way to get things done quicker. Back to the video.
In fact, I'm probably happy with those two. Let's do those as half the length then, so that's a 1-bar loop, and then this is also a 1-bar loop. So we'll call that classy chords, and then we've got on this music channel number 1 and number 2 main sample. We can get rid of ReGroover now. What was this channel? That was the drums freeze. maybe with this one we could unfreeze that and just pitch, maybe really shorten this, pitch it up 12, potentially use this as sort of just like a clicky other top layer in the drums. Might need to hard quantize. See what it sounds like without. Ooh, that sounded cool, that bit there with like whatever tom kind of set. Top. Let's freeze this track because I'm keen now to start getting into Bitwig, see if we can't make some waves. So I'm going to freeze this, and just to make sure, in fact, high top. Let's also just record out these drum sounds. It would be good to get the kick sounding complete. That should be enough. So now I can, in fact, let's save this. We'll call it Disco RX9 2. Can you tell that I've got a problem? So I can get rid of that now. I can call this V2, call that kick, and then we've got our hats, and I just want to make sure that these are all frozen freeze tracks. Let's flatten them. The snare would probably be a good idea to bounce that down too. Could do a little bit of editing in here, save us having to go across. Let's go for drums, snare. I don't like any of those. Also, I think I'm going to remove this fill piece here and put that on another layer, because that will probably be nice to be able to remove separated from this. So that can be snare fill. So we then just got a snare channel here, which is good. Let's just record that out. So snare. Nice, that'll do. Get rid of that. Snare. Cool. So I think we're ready now to potentially, let's just make sure that these are all at the right tempo. So let's just crop that clip and crop that clip. Crop these clips too. The vocal can be as is, and then these can also be cropped. Okay, so I'm just going to close Ableton now. Make sure that I collect all and save. I've made that mistake a few times recently. So now I can quit Ableton, and I can go here to Bitwig. And in Bitwig, all I have to do is go to User, Open File. I'm going to find that project file we just had, and I'm just going to open it in Ableton, having done all of the heavy lifting of the warping and all that nonsense over there. And now, of course, I can get to work on what really matters. So I'm going to start doing some of these. That's quite cool. I didn't mean to do that, but that is really quite great. I didn't mean to have it not come in on one, but let's see what that sounds like. Now it could be quite cool to do some odd filtering things here using maybe even like the information coming from the hi-hat channel. So let's go to drums, hats, hat master, and we'll use that audio sidechain signal to open the filter. Could try a different thing, could try just the snare. Now it's quite cool to layer a few of these, so if we take another audio sidechain, you can come up with some really cool dialed in patterns. If we say take the hat there, and we're going to use a small amount of the snare, small amount of the hat. Be cool to use like an LFO as well on that resonance. Could do like a 16th note synced. Something that's quite cool as well is just removing like the one, so you have. These are a bit extreme for my liking. Let's do a side chain. I like to do it with the audio side chain set to whatever my little side chain clip is there. In fact, this is probably. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can't just quickly chuck in an easy bass, because I'd love to have a low end here. I'd get my bass guitar, but I need to plug in my sound card for that, and that will fuck up the sound of this video recording. So let's work out what key we're actually in. A major or A minor? Let's see. D minor can actually start there. I don't know if it is a D minor, but we can figure this out in a sec. Let's replace the MIDI with something a little bit cooler. Could see if we could change note to a different thing then. Let's go to like C. Try E minor. Or an F. I think the best is probably this. Bring that damping up again. Nice, I'm just going to record out a couple of bars of that straight away, because one thing I love to do with this easy bass is then cut. So I'll do. Let's see what happens if I were to copy and paste that, like this, for example. quite cool. Let's just loop it on that for a sec. Happy to just loop it on that. Let's bring back in our main sample and see what we can do with that. We could also potentially pop this main sample into Melodyne and then see what happens if we then make sure my algorithm's on polyphonic. Okay, so let's see, I want to be in A minor. So if I now just double click, I highlight all the notes and then double click, in theory that should push them all into it. And the thing I like as well in here is if you highlight them all and then you go to the fade tool and you shorten all of those pieces from the other side, if I can do that. Come on. There we go. You can also then go down here to this synth section and you can drag this resynthesize knob up to make them into like little synth pieces. So we could also quantize all of these things in time. So let's do 16th notes. So you can hear that quite a lot of those notes are going somewhere weird. So what we could also do is on the classy chord, let's also record out what's happening on that channel. And we can match those pieces to the chord behind them. So if I go on the classy chord now, highlight all those notes, and then right click up here and do analyze chords. So if we highlight all of these and then do analyze chords, on the main sample we can now double click these. If we go to option pitch grid, pitch background, chord, there we go. Now I can double click these to be in with the same, the main sample pieces should in theory be following the same pattern as the chord, so we will have quite radically changed the sound in theory. We could unresynthesize this, increase the fade size again a bit. Quite cool. Very, very unique sound. Could be cool with like an echo on it. Or sorry, the delay plus. Is this bass a weird length? Yeah, there we go. Let's play with some of this vocal stuff that we had going on here. Oh, I need to bounce these bits in place. Let's put that there and that there. I can remove that first section. Duplicate that across, and let's get rid of these for a sec. So we'll call that main sample mellow classy chords, and then that can be the Melodyne one, and hide those away. So if we bring the vocal in now, also let's remove the snare. Oh, I love that bit. So let's just duplicate that down. I'll remove that from there. Mute this. Get rid of that. Maybe that starts on the... So I want it to start on shine, so I'm going to put that there and try and figure out the timing. Let's make this into a little clip. And then now I can stretch it easier, because that's where obviously I want... what's going on here? That's because I'm on raw. So let's bounce that. And then I'm going to stretch that shine bit to be on the beat. You make this. So, okay, the U needs to be on the off beat there. You make this. You make the sunshine. Okay, cool. I'm really happy with that. Let's make this bit happen at the end of each of those sections. So we need to have... Am I cutting things in the wrong place again? Nope. For once I'm not. So I'm going to copy and paste that there, and then we'll do this end bit. So let's make another vocal layer, and then this time let's just use this bit stretched out. I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. Let's find a different spot. Bring that snare back in. Well folks, that's sadly all we have time for today, but I do hope that this video has been useful. If you enjoyed it, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and smash that notifications button too if you'd like to keep up to date with all of my future videos. In the meantime, happy Sunday and happy creating. Doggy!